Good morning and hello. We're continuing off where we left last week, Sunday, where we created three plans to fight against Takano. One is to hide Rika, one is to, or wait until Akasaka, no, not Akasaka, Jiro Tomitake calls the Bloodhounds. The other is asking him how to contact them in case of emergency. And finally, faking Rika's death. The preparation for tomorrow's festival is moving right along at the Kurode Shrine. Vans and pickup trucks are bringing in tents and equipment, and the village youth group and some middle-aged men are unloading it. I heard Rika-chama is really sick. I hope she's okay. I heard she didn't go to school again today. I hope she gets better soon. Ah, Dr. Urie. How is Rika-chama doing? Well, she had a bad cold, but she's starting to get better. She still needs to take it easy, though. I just went to see them and told them to stay in bed. I see. Satoko-chan is sick too, huh? With both of them staying home and sick together, I'm sure they can't help but play around. Ha 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 ha. Considering they got sick at the same time, Rika-chama and Satoko-chan are really close, huh? Ah, Kimiyoshi-san! Dr. Irie just told us that Rika-chama and Satoko-chan are starting to get better. Oh, I see. That's good. By the way, about tomorrow's performance. You don't think she'll be able to do it, do you? She says she's going to anyway. If you asked her, I'm sure she'd be more than happy to oblige. But as a doctor, even if she didn't have a fever today, I'd rather not let her do it. That's no good. Ah! Ah! Oreo-san, Rika-chama's getting better, but she still has to stay in bed. Well then, we can't force her and then see her collapse during the ceremony. People will say it's the curse of Oyasho-san. Well, the villagers are really worried. They say there might be a curse again this year. Besides, it's Satoko Hojo-chan and Rika-chama, you know? Some people are imagining some really horrible things. Nitwits! Rika-chama is the reincarnation of Oyasho-sama. If she was cursed, the whole village would perish. Literally. Don't even suggest things like that. No, you're right. I'm sorry. Dr. Irie, can I go see them? Please let them rest for a while. They're recovering, and they're at an age where they'll want to play. Someone visiting them would be too stimulating, and they're sure to get out of bed. I see. I guess I shouldn't, eh? Doctor, please take care of them, alright? Not just Rika-chan, but Satoko-chan too. Really? That's surprising. Oreo-san always acts as if she doesn't even see Satoko-chan. But she just asked me to take care of Satoko-chan too. Sure, absolutely. I'll make both Rika-chan and Satoko-chan better. You can count on me. If something happens, people will say it's the curse of Oyasho-sama. Hey, Dr. Irie, don't you think it's foolish to talk about things like curses when we're in the 1980s? When people have gone to the moon? The curse of the moon-sama. Yes, I do. During the dam conflict, we used stories like that for our own needs. The dam conflict is over now. But as long as we keep talking about the curse, the dam conflict will never end. Are you saying that if Satoko-chan dies, people will say that it's the curse of the dam conflict? The dam conflict is over. If a village kid gets cold, it's the elder's job to worry about her. That's all. I already know what Oreo-san wants to say. I want her to actually say it. But if I made her, she might get angry. This is more than enough. When she talks about the dam conflict, she doesn't just mean the war they waged against the construction itself. She's also including how the Hojo family was ostracized after it was over. She's saying that the dam conflict is over, including everything that happened as a result of it, and that's why she told me to take care of Satoko-chan. I'm sure Satoko-chan will appreciate your concern. There goes my cat being a booger already, so I'm gonna have to remove him. I'll be right back. Okay. He will return when it's lunchtime. I'm sure Satsuko-chan will appreciate your concern. Like that little rascal would ever understand an old person's feelings. Oryo-san left, laughing. I wasn't the only one watching her leave. Kimiyoshi-san and some other elders did the same. They all understand what Oryo-san wanted to say. The dam conflict is over now. Satsuko-chan is a healthy girl. If she's down with fever, it must be a terrible cold. Dr. Irie, please take care of them. Since we aren't allowed to visit them, please let both of them know how worried we all are. Sure. They'll be happy to hear that. I vow to myself. Takano-san is more than likely planning something for tomorrow, taking advantage of people's belief in the curse. I can't let that happen. The curse of Oyasho-sama will end before it can happen for a 5th time. I'm sure of that. So where are we now? Oishi couldn't accomplish the 48-hour operation alone. He would need help from someone else. Oishi called up both Kumagai and the old man from forensics and told them everything. I know I'm repeating myself, but this is a dangerous bridge we're crossing here. If I get a simple warning, that's okay, but if I get reprimanded, they'll probably take away my pension. Hey, Oishi. I hear you always gather your colleagues at the mahjong parlor next door and threaten them every time you have a dangerous mission. It's the same old thing, right? Yeah, Oishi-san. Why don't you say, if you don't want to lose your pension, leave while I count to 10 with more oomph in your voice, like you usually do. Unless you say it that way, it just doesn't sound right. Well, this seriously is dangerous, Kuma-chan. Are you really prepared to lose your pension? Why don't you count to 10 then? Fine, I'll count. If you don't want to lose your retirement money, leave before I count to 10. 1, 2, 3... Okay, I got it, Kuma-chan, you're serious. But still, are you sure you're okay with it? Yes, I'm really psyched up from what I heard from Akasaka-san the other day. I became a policeman because I believe in justice. Someday I want to be able to talk about the things I've been through, like Akasaka-san does. A dangerous mission? That sounds fantastic. Besides, your ideas have never failed before. So if you think this operation will succeed, then I'm all for it. How nice it is to be young. You know, Akasaka-kun's become quite the inspiration for him. He keeps talking about how he wants to be involved in secret investigations now. Well, it is nice to be young, I guess. What about you? I'm in. Actually, unless I help you, this operation won't succeed. I've been neglecting my health all these years. Frankly, I don't think I have much longer to live. As a man, I want to do something grand before I die. My. You two sure are fearless. That's why you declare Richi, even with 3 flip Dora. What are you saying, Oishi-san? As a man, I can't refuse. If you're going to cut something, cut it right in the middle. That's what you always say. Mm-hmm. He's not wrong. I get it. If your necks end up on the line, I'll be responsible. I'll have to make some preparations first. You want to start this early tomorrow morning, right? I have to check with both forensics and the autopsy department. Oishi, when all this is over, you have to treat me to something big, okay? Of course. Look forward to it. Please make sure to be careful who you talk to, alright? They told me there are some spies at the police station. Don't worry. I know who I can trust. Count on me for that, at least. Until who I trust is exactly who you don't want to talk to. Alright, I'm fired up. My detective spirit is burning bright. It had taken Oishi all night to come to a decision, but those two had decided immediately. He couldn't help but question himself. It's almost like they have different circumstances. Okay, I have some errands to run, so I'm going to get going. Kuma-chan, could you please take the old man home? Thank you for coming here on your day off. Nah, don't worry about that. It's been a while since something got my blood boiling. In all the years of my life, this is the first big stage to really test my manhood. I'm not afraid. I'm going to enjoy this. Sorry. Thank you very much, old man. Kuma-chan, too. Oishi thanked them after seeing them off, although they couldn't hear. My manhood goes untested. Oishi stopped by a flower shop. He bought a bouquet of balloon flowers. Usually the purple ones are the most popular, and Oishi was fond of that color too. But today he didn't buy purple flowers, but got unusual white balloon flowers instead. With the bouquet in hand, he headed to the cemetery across from the flower shop. I guess he's saying mission accomplished. The date was June 18th. The real anniversary would be tomorrow, but as Oishi had to work on Watanagashi every year, he usually commemorated it on the previous day instead. It was the day before the anniversary of the death of the old man. The one Oishi considered a best friend, a brother, and a father. Every year, I promise you that I'll find your right arm, but I still haven't had any luck yet. Oishi spoke to the grave. He laid the bouquet of white balloon flowers down on top of it. But I finally got the chance to get close to the truth. You know, it's kind of funny. As it turns out, the Sonozaki family has nothing to do with it. I kept promising you year after year that I'd bring Oreo here and have her grovel an apology. But I was so wrong this whole time. Ta-ha-ha-ha. I don't know what to say. You'd probably smack me if you were here. I thought I knew the winning tiles, and after countless safe discards, I got slammed with a bad hit. If I hadn't made that assumption and focused on filling my hand, then I might have been able to get a big one. I haven't made any progress at all. It's the same with Mahjong. I'm a fool for getting ideas into my head and then doubting them even a bit. Ta-ha-ha-ha. Oishi already had a vague idea. The way Uri had phrased it, he could already guess. There was no dark secret behind the old man's dismemberment murder. The events that followed were separate incidents. That particular murder was an individual incident, and it had nothing to do with anything else. Since the main culprit was the only one who wasn't caught, Oishi needed someone to blame. The mysterious Sonozaki family was the perfect target. The drama of revenge that Oishi believed in never existed. I'm thinking of doing something really dangerous. Considering the risk, there isn't much in terms of reward. If anything, I might find out the truth. But I feel like I can finally forgive myself. Oishi bowed deeply to the grave. And then he heard footsteps behind him. It had to be someone else who knew the old man. That person can't come on the day of Watanagashi every year either, so they come on the day before, just like Oishi does. They always bring blue hydrangeas. Purple balloon flowers and those blue flowers don't go well together. That's the reason why Oishi always picks white ones. Usually the hydrangeas are already there by the time he arrives, but as Oishi had his secret meeting with Kumagai early in the morning, he came straight to the graveyard afterward and arrived before this person did. Visiting a grave isn't a race. It's a spiritual matter. Oishi was curious about the other person who brings flowers every year, so he looked up. Well, well. Are you visiting someone's grave too? Oishi stated the obvious. But from one glance he could guess everything. Upon seeing the hydrangeas in her arms, it all made sense. Oh my! Aren't you supposed to be working? What are you doing here? Akane Sonozaki laughed as she handed a bouquet of hydrangeas to her daughter, Shion. Shion, not knowing what to do, was caught between her mother and Oishi. Hey, how long are you going to stand there? Come on, move over. Oishi moved over as told and spoke. So you're the one leaving hydrangeas every year? Aren't they beautiful? They're from my backyard. Hydrangeas are beautiful in June. Your balloon flowers are fairly unusual. White ones, huh? They're nice. Ah, Mr. Oishi, excuse me. Can I put the flowers down? Shion knelt down in front of the grave and got the flowers ready. She put the hydrangeas in the vase alongside the balloon flowers. I need to learn how to pronounce this. 1 second. How do you pronounce? Where's overview, care, preparation? I don't care about any of that. Really, where's the pronunciation, please? Pronunciation. Hydrangeas. No, I don't want to use my microphone. Can I just hear it? There. Hydrangeas. Wow. So it was just hydrangeas. In the vase alongside the bloom flowers. The flowers looked beautiful in the vase together, reminding their onlookers that summer was about to start. What a coincidence. They match very well. It makes a nice contrast with the white and the blue. I saw blue hydrangeas every year I came. I thought blue flowers wouldn't go well with purple ones. I see. Then we should get along just fine, huh? Yeah, I guess. No. What's the matter? Anything unusual on the x-rays? You're being unusually quiet today, and it's disturbing. Oh, do you think that might be it? Since you've been good to us, I'll bring some hydrangeas to your grave too, don't worry. Oh, by the way, you still owe us at one of our shops, don't you? I'll bring a bill too. No. Oh boy, you two never run out of things to say, do you? Well, I don't plan on leaving this world quite yet. It won't be long until my retirement, but I'm still going strong. That's good then. As a citizen of Okunomiya, I'm glad to hear such reliable words. Their conversation should have been coded in social courtesies, yet something felt a little off about it. Can you tell me one thing? What? The Guardians and the old man, the site manager, they didn't get along, did they? So, why bring flowers for him? No, we didn't get along at all. We were mighty enemies. Right, Shion? Yeah. That old geezer was a bastard that pissed me off. I bit him, I elbowed his stomach, I even scratched up his car with a 10-yen coin. Shion, the statute of limitations isn't up yet. Shion stuck out her tongue and hid behind her mother in embarrassment. It's okay, you were very young back then. So if you hated him that much, why do you come here? Well, the damn conflict is over. Although he was our enemy, we did many unpleasant things to him too. What, you don't get it? The war is over now. Even in a rugby game, once a game is over, no one is on opposing sides. Nothing more than that. Akane said it as though it was a normal thing, but Oishi just couldn't understand. First of all, they hated each other. They hated each other. They spat at each other. How could they even feel like bringing flowers to his gravesite? However, Akane said that it was normal. Their moral standards weren't matching up. Actually, you're the one I can't understand. I think the damn conflict has ended, yet in your head, it's still going, isn't it? Oh no, it's over for me. I can't even imagine hearing all that noise anymore. You've got to be kidding me. Now what's wrong with the Sonozaki family visiting his gravesite? Come on, move over. I brought something for him too. Akane took out a small package from her bag and put it down in front of the grave. I see that package every year. What's in it? Booze. Oh no, this is ohagi, specially made by the Virago. Drinkers usually don't like sweets, so she made them without sugar. Are you saying that Oreo-san made ohagi for the site manager's anniversary? She does it every year. You did just say that you see it every time you come here, didn't you? Oishi was stunned. Oreo was the biggest hardliner in the Onikafuchi Guardians, no question about that. So imagine, he could have lost his misunderstanding like 4 years ago, basically. 3 years ago. Yeah, 3. If he just came earlier in the day and saw them. And then asked the question, what are you doing? Oishi had believed for a long time that she was the master behind the old man's murder. Because of that, he just couldn't believe that she had been making ohagi every year for his anniversary. Hey, don't give me that look. Let's not do this anymore, okay? Do what? Pretend that the Sonozaki family shouldn't visit the site manager's grave. It won't be long now until it's 1990. By then, even the Emperor might be dead. How much longer are you planning to drag out this war, which has already ended? Please, I don't even want to think about the damn conflict. There's nothing better than peace. The government was at fault. They should think about what they've done. But we were at fault too. That's why we have regrets. And when things are done, that's it. There's no point dragging them out. We need to wrap up the era of our forefathers, and young people need to create a new one. What happened was very unfortunate, and I regret that the old man had to die. If he was still alive, we could have shared a toast together and made up. But he's dead, so we can't reconcile. I think that's very sad. Well, that's what happens when someone dies. But you're still alive. That's right, I am. And so are you. Then maybe a day will come when we can get along, huh? No. Well, I don't know about that. Shion, why don't you give this to the priest? And then wait in the car, okay? Sure. Akane took out an envelope from her pocket and gave it to Shion. Shion took the envelope, bowed to Oishi, and then ran off. During the dam conflict, I thought she was such a feisty little girl. She sure has grown up. How long do you think it's been since then? She's hit puberty, and we even went bra shopping together. She isn't a little girl anymore. That's how long it's been. Yeah, many years have passed. Time is dense for young people, but diluted for old folks. The old ones are the ones who don't change. But young people keep growing, and before we know it, they pass us by. Then we simply withdraw ourselves and watch over them. See how it works? Yeah, I guess. I can't believe I'm getting a talking to from the Dark Princess of Shishibone, Akane Sonozaki. Hey, I can't believe you still remember that name. I'm a lady of Shishibone nowadays. I'd appreciate it if you kept that name to yourself. Yeah, I guess, since the damn conflict is over now, huh? That's right. It's all over. The two of them watched Shion and the priest exchange words in front of the main temple building. Both were silent, but the air between them was comforting. There was no breeze, and a cabbage-white butterfly flittered around them. You're supposed to be at work, but how about around? Up for some fresh cold sake? Maybe not today. I have to drive, and so do you, right? That's too bad. Well, maybe next time, eh? Yeah, next time. Something that had been sitting inside Oishi for a long time had started to dissipate. Something that had coagulated was melting away. I better get going. Your daughter's waiting too, right? Yeah, she is. We've gone through a lot. Let's forget about it all. How about that? We'll have a party one of these days. We will. Akane turned around with a big smile on her face. But all of a sudden, it changed into an impish grin. Hey, Officer Oishi. Since we made up just now. I got a traffic ticket yesterday. I was so mad that I ripped it in half. Do you think you can do something about that? Just go to the nearest police station for that. Maybe I can give you a priority spot in the waiting line. We're friends even for, huh? Nah. Their laughter echoed under the blue sky. Do, 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 do. Oh. Thank you for waiting, Nomura-san. No, sorry. At the moment, I'm talking to a woman over the phone. So, how's everything going? Going well. The festival is tomorrow. I see. That's good. First Lieutenant Tomitake will get into an accident tomorrow night. H173, the medicine which was supposed to be destroyed, will be administered to him, and no matter what happens, it'll be a very pitiful end. What an interesting opening. We've already finished our forgery of the proceedings. It'll show that Lieutenant Colonel Irie was trying to sell your research to a foreign country, so that he can continue it. And Tomitake's murder is a part of that. Yes. That'll be the first step for the board of directors to become suspicious of the Irie Institute. We're taking care of all that, so don't worry. Also, regarding that, what should we do if it happens? If what happens? I mean. What if First Lieutenant Tomitake agrees to join us? He isn't included in the takeover operation, is he? Well, no, because he's an auditor for the board. If he becomes our ally, that might be beneficial to us. According to our analysis, even if he changes his allegiance, there won't be much for us to gain. Why add another unnecessary worry to the operation? You're right. Sorry about that. I thought we might be able to use him for something, which is why I suggested it. We'll go with the original plan then. So they were going to kill him regardless. I think that would be better. I'll get in touch with you again. Goodbye. I assume that was Okanogi. For a while, I kept holding the telephone receiver, lost in thought. Then I put it down and dialed a number that I had become very familiar with. Hello. Economy Hotel Okonomiya. How may I assist you? Hello. Could you connect me to room 406, the one belonging to Tomitake? Please tell him Takano is calling. Oh, it's Takano. Sure, I'll connect you. One moment, please. The telephone operator put me on hold, leaving behind only electronic music. I waited for about a minute, and the operator came back on again. I'm sorry. The guest in room 406 is not in his room right now. Would you like to leave a message? That's okay. I already left a few of them. Huh. Do you know when he left the hotel? Do you know when he'll be back? Oh, I'm sorry. I can't answer that. I see. I'll call again. I put down the phone before the operator finished speaking. This is the third time I've tried calling him. I left a message telling him to call me back, but he hasn't. Why? Is he out taking photographs by himself? Or is he waiting for me behind the shrine where we usually meet? Who would think I would actually come all the way here, expecting him to be waiting for me? I'm even surprised myself. People are in the middle of setting up tomorrow's festival. Tents are being put up for food stalls and preparations for various events are taking place. It's almost too noisy for me, what with people shouting as they work, plus the noise from the batteries for the stalls. Soon, I reached the back of the shrine before realizing it. I assume this is all happening in the same day, the day before the operation, and whatnot. Before Watanashi. This is probably the best view in the whole village. This is where Jiro-san and I usually meet. Just maybe, he's waiting for me here. Of course, that's just wishful thinking. God will never grant my wishes. He only has a bit of fun by testing me. I looked down at the village below, letting the breeze blow through my hair. He usually follows me around while he stays in Hinamizawa. He persistently asks if I want to go out to eat, go for a walk, or take some photographs with him. But he hasn't done any of that this visit. His behavior towards me has changed. Maybe it's because he heard about the horrible impression I left with the new board of directors. Maybe he thinks I'm a mad scientist because of that incident. I can feel that he's gradually losing interest in me. But I had my own complaints too. When I don't want him around, he's so persistent. But when I need him to listen to me, I can't get a hold of him. But if I did get through to him, what would I even talk about? What could I talk to him about? Right after talking to someone about the plan to assassinate him. Why should he even answer my call? I'm simply running wildly, and when I reach the point of no return, I'll want to be forgiven. And I want him to do that for me. Just because he always does whatever I want him to do, and he shows up whenever I need him. Who would forgive someone like me? Someone who has nowhere to go but hell? Would he forgive me out of sympathy? No way. While he'll be surprised, he'll do his job and arrest me. I'm a member of the SDF after all, so what I'm doing is committing treason. I've been thinking about him a lot for the past few days. And just now, I realized something. He's not attractive at all as a man. He has no sense of humor or good taste. He has nothing. Absolutely nothing. Well, he has a belly, but there's nothing appealing about him. He doesn't care about my schedule, he's persistent, and when I treat him nicely because I'm in a good mood, he becomes even more persistent. There really is absolutely nothing good about him. Despite his age, he tells me things like how the last time he held a woman's hand was when he did folk dancing at some summer camp. Furthermore, he says those things to make me laugh. He's hopeless. But more than anything, I can't stand when he completely ignores my feelings. I want to be alone sometimes. I don't want to do anything sometimes. Yet he drags me out, completely ignoring how I feel. That's why, even when I'm exhausted or I don't feel like doing anything, I end up going with him, which makes me laugh. I always thought that just wore me out, yet I want him to drag me around. I'll probably never feel this way again, and yet he's not here. Do I really believe I don't want to spend time with him? Maybe I've just grown used to his abundant affection. It's funny, they actually do a good job of humanizing Takano in the visual novel. In the anime, it's a bit more black and white rather than gray. Like they do share her story of the orphanage and whatnot, her parents. But even the what's her name? And Nomura stuff isn't as like super obvious. When he took me out on a day I didn't want to do anything, I was in a bad mood at first, but after a while I started to feel better and found myself having a lot of fun. If he was with me now, would he take me out to photograph birds like always? Would he happily explain it all with his know-how, even though I didn't ask? Didn't ask. That'd be very boring and troublesome. That's what I honestly want right now. Do I see my grandpa in him? I loved my grandpa. He gave me a purpose to live. I needed him. I loved Uncle Koizumi. He helped me with my dream. I needed him. After both of them died, maybe I just sought their aspects in him. Am I starving for a protector? Maybe I'm so traumatized by my parents' accident that I need to have someone nearby to watch over me all the time. Maybe I'm still immature. My inner child is throwing a fit because she can't put together a toy, saying that if it's going to be broken anyway, she's going to break it herself. It won't just be my problem. It'll bring about huge, irreversible tragedy. But that's the only way to prove the truth of my grandfather's work. That belief allowed me to prepare up to this point. In just a few days, the top members of the government will be scrutinizing my grandfather's article, and terrified by the worst-case scenario he predicted, they'll regret canceling our research and neglecting countermeasures as they pass their final resolution. That's when my grandfather's article will become truth, his great work uplifted, and his name carved into the pages of history. And I don't feel like that. And then he'll become a god. It's like his report will still remain secret, and only the little hints of our emergency manual 34 will be will be like a conspiracy theory, and that's it. An eternal existence. And I will reveal the god worshipped as Oyasho-sama to be the Hinamizawa syndrome, casting them down to earth. I'm going to complete the 5th curse of Oyasho-sama with Jiro-san's death, as well as my own. I'll become the one who curses, not the one who gets cursed. I'll be in the position to test, instead of being tested. I will ascend to godhood. I'm going to make the curse a reality, and I'm going to kick the god of this place off her throne. And then, grandfather and I will be together forever. Gods don't get tested. Fate doesn't test gods. No grief will separate us. I will be with my grandpa forever. After that, we're going to work on our research together in that study, filled with the smell of formalin. A scene from happier days. Grandpa is at his desk, writing down something. I'm in a good mood, lying on my stomach on the carpet right behind him, while flapping my legs and humming a tune. I help him with his research by organizing his books as if I were playing with blocks. To return to those times is my only wish. Of course, if I could go back that far, I'd want my parents to be alive too. If I could play with my grandpa's books, while listening to my mother cooking in the kitchen, and my father flipping through his newspaper, that would complete my happy world. It would be my ideal childhood. That world doesn't have a door to the outside world, so I can't go over to my friend's house. Because if I did go to my friend's house, there wouldn't be anybody there when I returned. Nobody, because they'd all have died in a train accident. So I don't want an outside world. I want to stay in my house with my parents and my grandfather. I'm a doctor after all. I can analyze myself. I know that what I'm wishing for is proof of my immaturity. But if I know that much, then why do I still long for a parental figure in Jiro-san? Even as I plan an operation which includes his death, I'm still trying to hang on to him. If I'm going to betray people so I can become a god, then I should remain a villain until my final moments. But if I'd rather be a lonely little girl, then I should remain modest and humble until my final moments. Either way, if it is my way of life, nobody can criticize me for it. Because if I believe it's right, then all I can do is go on without listening to such criticism. But I still can't decide, so I want somebody to criticize me. Nobody has ever criticized my way of life. That's why I want to hear someone do it. I want someone to tell me my way of life is wrong. I want Jiro-san to tell me I've done such a stupid thing, and I want him to slap me. That's why I hold him down. Such masochistic desires speak a great deal as to how I'm rejecting my present self. Am I really still longing for a parent? I'm too old to call myself immature. Even if I do, nobody else will. No matter how immature I am inside, people will treat me as a grown person. They'll say I possess an adult's responsibility and proper judgment, and that they brought me this far already. Then I'll be judged before the devil. Will I still plead not to judge my immature self as a grown-up? Am I going to act that pathetically even in front of the devil? I'm already going to hell, yet I can't completely become a devil. I hate the idea of hell, yet I refuse to try and repent. My mind can only float in a lake of blood, drifting as I drown. If only Jiro-san was here, my mind would clear up as I played along with his insensitive chatter. Why isn't he around when I need him the most? This is the last chance I'll have to spend time with him. I hate how immature I am, because becoming so insecure just because he isn't around. I found myself before the offertory box. I came here when the area clinic's construction had ended, and research at the area institute was about to begin. I remember how bravely I challenged the god of this place. I was full of hope and ambition. After going through many hardships, I finally came this far. I even vowed I would become a god. I did so in front of the god of this place. I can vaguely recall my grandfather telling me a story similar to that. That's right, it was the story of the Tower of Babel. When there was only one language in this world, all people lived in one place with one will. In a display of their authority, they started to build a tower that would reach heaven. God got angry because these people had forgotten how to show respect to him. He believed all of man gathered to commit such an affront because they all shared one language and one will. So their communion was shattered. People were thrown into disorder, and they were given many different languages so they wouldn't be able to communicate with each other. And as they couldn't communicate with each other, many left, and the tower which challenged heaven fell to ruin. Well, if they still had the same will, they would still be building the tower without the same language. Something like that, anyway. I'm not sure what the lesson is, but this is what my grandfather explained to me. Building a tower that reaches up to heaven is the greatest challenge for humans, but it is also a challenge to God. To challenge God was truly sinful, but as humans we couldn't help but test that untrodden peak. It's not easy to build a tower that's high enough to reach heaven. While they're building the tower, the people will fall into disharmony, and lose the mutual understanding they once started with. Their united will is thrown into disarray. This applies not just to a group of people, but can be said about one person as well. No matter how solid their will, the closer they come to heaven, the more limits God imposes on man. So even iron wills are sure to waver at some point. It is just too arrogant for humans to think that they can always carry out their original intentions. That must have been what my grandfather was thinking, deep down. I'm sure he lost hope many times, since nobody ever recognized the value of his research. Yet he believed in himself, and he believed that someday his work would be appreciated. Maybe that was his wish, rather than reaching heaven. Grandfather realized he wouldn't be able to complete his research, and maybe he was trying to find where he could compromise. Humans can't build a tower that reaches heaven, but the story of the Tower of Babel is still around. It didn't reach heaven, but we still tell the story of the tower that challenged God. According to the story, the tower was left behind with nobody to work on it. The incomplete tower stayed in that place for a long time, never achieving its goal. But if someone were to see it, they would realize how great it was that someone accepted that challenge and praised their name. I took over the tower from my grandfather and tried to make it reach heaven, but I ended up succumbing to the same fate. And if it's going to be destroyed anyway, I'll try to destroy it myself. What am I doing? Anyway, if I hadn't tried to continue Grandfather's research, his work on Hinamizo syndrome would have remained forever. Even if it was an empty tower that nobody ever visited, if somebody did come by, they would praise whoever attempted that challenge. There you go. There's the hypocrisy. Hypocrisy. They would have praised my grandfather. But I took over his work, and I built the tower even closer to heaven, which made God angry. And the tower is now going to be destroyed. The tower will become a pile of rubble. When the Erie Institute is shut down, all of its records will be destroyed. My grandfather's wish for his work to be appreciated by someone will never be granted. I tried to make my grandfather an eternal existence, yet I ended up making that an impossibility. How can I call myself Mio Takano? Instead of inheriting the 1, 2, 3 from my grandfather and continuing to count to 3 to 4, I reduced it all to 0. If it wasn't for me, my grandfather's work would have remained an empty tower. It would have stayed in this world forever. But I ruined it. I did that. I can feel myself sweating. Sweat reminds me that I've done something inexorable. When did I make a mistake? Where did I go wrong? It wasn't when I came here. It was before that. Oh. I started to walk down the wrong path long before that. If I put myself in my grandfather's spot, I know. My grandfather was working on a great challenge. He built a mighty tower, and it was supposed to continue to stand there and wait for someone to appreciate it. Grandfather definitely said he wanted his work to be valued by someone, even after his death. But I misunderstood. Somewhere along the way, I made a wrong turn. I misinterpreted Grandfather's wish, and I ruined it. I ruined everything. I tried to make him an eternal existence, yet I destroyed him. Grandfather built an eternal tower, yet I raised it. Where did I make a mistake? What went wrong? It's obvious. My grandfather counted to 3, and with that, it was complete. I simply tried to do more with addition, and everything collapsed, and now all of it is ruined. I shouldn't have tried to count to 4. I shouldn't have done anything. Besides, Grandfather didn't even ask me to continue his research. Really? I didn't know that. The little girl shouldn't play in this dark study. Go outside and play with your friends. I remember my grandfather telling me things like that. But I refused, and I stayed in the study so I could help him. And eventually, he stopped telling me to play outside, and just enjoyed having my company while he worked. But when we first met, he used to say things like that. Then what? Living with Grandfather was the first mistake I made? No. Then what? When I escaped the orphanage, I shouldn't have called Grandpa. I shouldn't have found a 10-yen coin. I shouldn't have asked Grandpa to help me. Ah, now I remember. I know where I belong. Jeez. Bang, 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 bang. A noise of something metal striking something else is getting closer. It's getting closer and closer. I'm not allowed to fall asleep. Ah, I wasn't asleep. I just had my eyes closed, that's all. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Damn you. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I won't do it again. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Come on. Damn it. Bang, 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 bang. Don't kick, don't kick. I'm afraid of the metal sound. Please don't kick it. I'm not being kicked, but the noise is kicking me. So please don't kick. Please don't kick the metal fence, please. My body's getting cracked. I think my body's getting cracked. All the dirty, itchy, and painful things soak into those cracks, and the filth and prickling feel horrible. It's soaking into my chest, gathering together. I desperately try to resist so that it won't touch my heart. But the dirtiness and itching draw together more and more. My whole chest is soaked, and soon enough my face will be swallowed. Even drowning in this dirtiness and itching, I try desperately to hold my breath, so that at least my heart won't be soaked with it. Do. So much unknown language. I can't hold my breath any longer. I drown in an ocean of muck. And yet, as I'm taking on the muck, my heart desperately struggles not to be tainted by it, to rise above it until my heart, too, sinks into the sea of grime. Only creatures that have lived on land will gasp and suffer the pain of drowning as they long to return to dry land. Creatures that have always lived in the ocean never drown. Grandpa won't come help me. That is the best thing for me and him both. I am... See? When I stop struggling, there is no more noise. I don't have to hear that scary metal noise. Is there a roar or a yell? I needed to borrow strength to scream in order to come back to the present world. My body is all sweaty. It feels dirty, itchy, and painful. It reminds me of that day. I can feel welts coming on as the sweat crawls down my skin. No, it's just a delusion. It can't be itchy, because all of that is long over. I take a bath every day. I scrub my body until it turns raw and red, so not even the slightest drop of that horrible filth could possibly remain. I can't help it. I remember the filth. I can only get rid of it by scratching my arm so hard it leaves marks. I can't get rid of the itching. I can't get rid of the filth. Of course I can't. I'm a filthy existence. Grandpa should never have saved someone like me. Meeting me made him unhappy. I shouldn't have existed. I shouldn't have been born. I should have stayed inside that metal fence and spent my whole life there. I need to go back inside it. I should have never left. That place is where I belong. Corner me with that horrible metal noise. Crush me with that filth, itchiness, and pain. And then kill me, so I'll never meet Grandpa. I assume she means the punishment at the orphanage. Is that your wish? Yes. Much like those left behind at the top of Babel's crumbling tower. Or Icarus, unable to reach heaven, only to fall. That is my final wish. Bring me back inside that metal fence, and give me back the fate that's suitable for my filthy existence. The wish of a liar will never come true. But I'm not a liar. You have spoken your true wish once, yet you have yet to realize that's your greatest wish. And I cannot grant that wish just yet. Are you saying that's the punishment we sinful humans face for challenging God? You should already know. The strength of your desire is what creates the future. You lack that strength. Good. Are you saying I haven't tainted myself enough? Will even the gates of hell remain shut for someone not fully committed like me? And then... Oh, Rika's house. Rika-chan, Satoku-chan. Sorry, wrong button. How are you feeling? It's Irie. As Akasan warned me, I have to be careful. Akasaka-san opened the door silently. How are you doing? It's bustling outside, huh? Yeah. Everyone is busy getting ready for tomorrow's festival. I brought some shaved ice for you, courtesy of the refreshment stand committee. Let's have some. Thank you for that. I'll have some. Akasaka-san is wearing a t-shirt, but he's still drenched in sweat. All the windows have been shut, and he can't even open the curtains, so it's very hot inside. But even accounting for that, he's still sweating like mad. Look how sweaty you are. It sure is hot in here. No, I was exercising a little. Of course, I tried to keep very quiet. I'm just staying prepared for anything, that's all. A little exercise helps to refresh people. I'm sure you've been under a lot of stress for the last few days. You must be exhausted mentally, too. No, I'm used to this kind of thing. But I really appreciate you bringing in some stuff. Akasaka-san smiled like a happy child as he ate the strawberry-flavored shaved ice. So, has there been anything yet? Have you heard from Tomitake-san? No, nothing yet. Ah, but Takano-san was saying she can't get a hold of him. That's right, he changed his hotel, huh? Do you think she's noticed something? No, I don't think she has. I told her he's probably just going around taking pictures. But it's only a matter of time before she becomes suspicious. There will be a strong wind soon, one way or another. Dr. Irie, please be very careful. Yeah, of course. Oh, by the way, I just saw Oishi-san, and he told me to tell you something. I explained the 48-hour operation to Akasaka-san. Akasaka-san seemed impressed with the notion, especially because I told him it came from the girls. That's a fantastic idea. That'll shake up our enemy quite a bit. It'll give Tomitake-san a big opportunity to find out something, too. So when is the operation going to take place? That'll be decided when they meet with Oishi-san tonight. Okay, so we are going all in the same day. But since we don't have much time, it may be as early as tomorrow morning. I see. It's pretty stressful just waiting for a battle to begin. If there is something we can do, we might as well just do it. Your time in Hinamizo is limited too. So how much longer can you stay? I told Yuki that I should be home by midnight on Sunday, but if the situation changes, I might have to stay here longer. She's a policeman's wife. She'll understand. You can't even call her from here, huh? Sorry to put you in this situation. Don't worry. It's not like we're newlyweds. She won't divorce me just for not calling her every night. Although he says that, it's easy to tell that Akasaka-san wants to hear the sound of her voice. So have there been any changes on your end? If there's anything you need, I'll bring it. I really don't need anything yet. Any changes? Well, it's hard to say. There are just too many people going in and out for the festival. Even if there's someone suspicious among them, I can't tell. We should assume our enemies are hidden among them, so we should be on our guard. That sounds about right. By the way, the mountain dogs are starting to move, just as you said. When I asked Okunogi about their plans, he said he's raising the security level for the days surrounding the festival, to take into account the possibility that some criminal might use the 5th year of the curse to target Rika-chan. That matches the situation right now. It almost looks like all the preparations, officially and unofficially, are going smoothly for tomorrow's festival. So you're saying tomorrow, it's going to be a festival in more ways than one then? If the 48-hour operation gets underway tomorrow morning, it'll be quite the turbulent day. Yes, everything will change, starting tomorrow. June 19th, 1983. A tempestuous day that divides a peaceful world from a tragic one. The fate of the world will change on that day. I finished my secret meeting with Akasaka-san and left while going up to the second floor window, pretending to address the girls. When some villagers saw me do that, they asked how they were doing. They asked me about both girls, which made me very happy. What Oryo-san said yesterday has already spread among the villagers. In other words, the curse of Yashiro-sama may have already lifted, even before tomorrow's festival. If nothing happens tomorrow, then this village is finally free from the curse and the ghost of the dam conflict. As we prepare for the upcoming battle, I realize the extent of the responsibility we've taken on. But at the same time, that gives me strength. After greeting officials under the main tent, I ran into Takano-san as I headed back to the clinic. It's unusual for her to be here alone. If Tomitake-san was with her, I could understand, but she'd never come here by herself. For a moment, I thought maybe she suspected a connection between me and Akasaka-san, but it doesn't seem that way. I'm relieved. This is unusual. What are you doing here? Nothing really. I'm just taking a walk. I see. It's a nice day today. I bet it's a perfect day for taking a walk. I wonder if Jiro-san is taking a walk too. Those words had a strange nuance to them. Takano-san normally only spends time with Tomitake-san out of politeness. At least, that's how she's been acting. So when I heard her say that, I was a little surprised. Maybe so. He's from Tokyo. I'm sure he's enjoying the fresh air and the beauty of Hinamizawa. Director, do you have any idea where Jiro-san went? No, I don't. He didn't come to the meeting last night. It was a good thing someone else was there to take his place, but he should have been there. He's neglecting his job, don't you think? This is going in the wrong direction. I have to change the subject. Well, I'm sure he needed a little break. I bet he wanted to be. Alone. Just like you. Yeah, I can see that. I think that went well. She didn't ask about Tomitake-san after that. While I look around, I can imagine how lavish the festival is going to be tomorrow. Watanagashi is the biggest festival of the year around here. It's grown in scale ever since the dam conflict ended. And this year, the festival is hitting a peak. I'm sure villagers of all ages will enjoy themselves tomorrow. Takano-san and I overlooked that heartwarming scene. Tomorrow looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, it'll be fun. The conversation was very ironic. We both meant something different as we spoke. I can hardly wait for the festival to start. Yeah, a fun festival is about to begin. I noticed an indescribably bitter smile on her face. I hope it'll be a nice day tomorrow. After all these preparations, it'll be a shame if it rains. They worked so hard to prepare for this grand festival. A little rain won't stop them. Yeah, it didn't the previous years, I remember that. Or the previous arcs. Yeah, I guess. There'll be a festival, no matter the weather, huh? Dun dun dun. Yes. There'll be a grand festival. I'm sure of it. Oh, the Sonozakis. Oishi-san had agreed to participate. In other words, he had given us the green light. Good job. I bet you had some difficulties. Nah, not really. They actually agreed pretty easily. Boy, how nice it is to be young. I was the only one who struggled to make a decision. Pitiful, huh? We can't turn back anymore. I'll give it everything I have. Oishi-san was always a man with great presence. He seems pretty reliable when he's that determined. This'll work. This operation will be a success. The enemy is unthinkably strong, but we're going on the offensive first. It's like in sumo, right? No matter how huge the opponent may be, there's a chance the entire match can be settled in an instant, with a quick shift in stance during the opening rush. See, Rika? Doesn't it feel reassuring to have this many people on your side? I don't intend on refuting you anymore. I was almost ready to give up just a few days ago, but now I can't believe how much the situation has evolved. It just might just be possible to change our fate after all. Rika, that's not good enough. You're right. I shouldn't say we might change our fate. We will change it. We will win. We will defeat fate. In any case, then the timing of our trap is extremely important. What do you mean timing? We should act immediately. Tonight. It will have been 48 hours since Rika-chan disappeared. The longer we wait, the better position the enemy will be in, so we should act as soon as possible. That's true. If we're too careful, that'll give them more time. Our defense ought to be cautious, but our offense ought to be bold. It's very reassuring to have both your seals of approval. So what about it, everyone? No objections. I've sealed my resolve. I'm ready any time. Is it time yet? What do you think, Satoko? We should go with haste, of course, but right now maybe a little too hasty. If we are to surprise them, I think we should do it more carefully. A surprise attack should take place at night. Is there any better timing than now? Calm down. You're both right. Surprise attacks usually do happen at night. But look at us now. We're still up, even though it's that dark outside, right? Night attacks were more effective when there was no electricity. Nowadays, surprise attacks don't always have to take place in the middle of the night. There's an even better time than that, the break of dawn. Is there really a better time for a surprise attack? Hello? I understand. A daybreak sortie, right? Oh? You know some interesting terms, don't you? It's true that the worst time to call someone is not in the middle of the night, but early in the morning. People can't even think straight when they're half asleep. A surprise attack at dawn. Yeah, that's a great time to do it. Yeah, I think that'll be the most effective. Knowing how Takano-san is, it's more than likely that she'll do something to make it look like the 5th year's curse. And she'll try it tomorrow night. It's normal to try to get plenty of sleep the night before. Oh, I now know the perfect time to spring my traps. A surprise attack at dawn. Man, that sounds badass. I've always wanted to do something like that. I'm fired up. You're just like my men, Maibar-san. Hey, does that mean I'm the only man involved who isn't psyched? My oh my. Alright! Ready then. The 48-hour operation commences tomorrow at dawn. The question is how they will react. We'll be confusing them, and once we see their response, we'll attack. This is a raid. Okay. As the leader of this club, I now decree that the 48-hour operation is now in effect. We'll carry out our tasks at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. It'll get busy all of a sudden. All members should be ready for an immediate response. Prepare yourselves physically and mentally. Don't forget, the fate of Hinamizawa rides on this battle. The enemy's conspiracy could end up destroying this village. Huh. We'll never let that happen. Well, we'll see how the enemy will react. Will they become demons or serpents? Maybe they'll become kittens. Ho 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 ho! How cute of them. I don't think so. Something huge will happen for sure. This is like a little earthquake. One that's a forewarning of a huge tsunami. You're right. I feel that little earthquake too. But we'll create that huge tsunami, and either the village or the enemy will be swallowed by it. We'll ride that huge wave for as long as we can. This 48-hour operation will be a shock to the enemy. They'll panic, their pace will be off, and they're guaranteed to slip up somehow. We don't know how they're going to slip up, but just knowing that they will, and preparing ourselves to act, gives us the full advantage. We're surrounding our enemies on this huge game board that is Hinamizawa. This game, this festival, will start with our siege. Come on, we're ready. We're ready for June 19th, 1983. Hey, Rika? Have this many emotions ever gathered on this day? Actually, there was always this many emotions in this world. There were always countless numbers of them gathered on this forgotten June 19th. We just never realized it, because we always looked at the world subjectively. There are so many people in this world, and each of them has very important emotions. Wait. Am I losing my connection? Maybe it's just dropped frames. We'll see in a few more seconds. Those countless feelings are collecting together and giving shape to this world, this fragment. Oh, that's fine. With this many emotions, what kind of world will we see? What kind of fragment will we be granted? Who will win, Takano or us? The time to find out is now. Let's open it. Let's open the door to June 19th of 1983. I suppose that ends this chapter. Let's me have some water. Preparations complete. I think after this we only have like one more chapter. Let me check real quick to be 100%. Finish the final battle. Tips, chat, and went beyond. I think there's probably more than that. So I'm not going to finish today, that's for sure. It was past midnight, and almost dawn. The very quiet time of the night where staying up late and getting up early melded together. So about 3:30. That exact thing was happening in the offices of the Okanogi gardeners. There were only 2 people on guard duty, and they were playing cards. They weren't sentries, so they really didn't need to be on guard all the time. However, they weren't allowed to fall asleep either. After the TV broadcast went off the air a little past midnight, they usually ended up playing cards. Suddenly, the phone rang. The phone was right nearby, so one of them answered immediately. Thank you for calling. This is Okanogi Gardeners. Yes. What? Suddenly, the man taking the call stood up with a jolt. He even hit his knee against the desk, but he was too panicked to care. Takano dashed into the underground security room in a hurry. I'm sorry to bother you, Major. Forget the coffee. Give me an update. Are you sure about this? Yes. At 4:15 a.m., a body that was found in the Okonomiya jurisdiction was identified as R. How could that be? R is homesick with the cold, isn't she? You were observing her, weren't you? Major. There's more. According to an intelligence agent at Okonomiya Police Department, at least 48 hours have passed since their death. Takano could feel her blood freezing, starting from her feet. She just couldn't believe what was happening. At least 48 hours? At least 48 hours since the death of the Queen Carrier? Takano just couldn't understand. That can't be right. Why are the villagers still so composed? They could have developed terminal symptoms as early as after 36 hours, which was last night. But according to the intelligence agent, this is reliable information. And the station was even put under a gag order because they were fearful of the religious impact it could have on the village. What do you mean? Then who do you have observing that house? Major, our observation system is perfect. Rika Furude is there at the house. Ever since we started, she hasn't even stepped out of the house once. Director Irie confirmed it himself. It's just impossible. Then how do you explain this? The police department is saying that the body is Rika, and that has been over 48 hours since her death, right? Are you telling me they're lying? A lie. A lie? That's it. Maybe it's a mistake. I was planning to fake my death using an operative from the Gifu Police Department tonight. This is the same thing. Yes, it's a lie. It must be a mistake. Takano wasn't confused because she was still half asleep. No, Takano was afraid. Her grandfather wrote in his article that within 48 hours of the Queen Carrier's death, everyone in the village would develop terminal stage symptoms. This would mean that he had been wrong. What about everyone who believed his words? What would they think? Excuse me, Major. There's a phone call from Nomura-sama in Tokyo. Why is that woman calling me now? While I'm on the phone, check the body the police found immediately. We can't. Not right now. When our agents come in, we'll have them approach the station and observe what's going on. And what time is that? 5? 6? It needs to be done as soon as possible. Tell them to hurry up. Good morning. Takano here. All the unit members were gathered in the office of Okinogi Gardeners, which served as a garrison for the mountain dogs in Okinomiya. I see. As soon as you find out something from the police, call both me and the Major. By the way, regarding the observation system at the R residence, why didn't you confirm that she's home? We assumed she didn't pick up the phone because she was sick with a cold. Director Erie went by and confirmed her presence, so we just took him at his word. Naive. So there is someone at the R residence, that's for sure, right? Yes, there's someone there. Commander, why don't we enter the residence? We still have a little time. We can't do that without approval from the Major. I'm sure she won't let us until she confirms the matter at the Okinomiya Police Department. In preparation for that order, increase the number of observers at the residence. At least 8 people. Commander, there'll be a festival at the shrine later today. We can observe, but I don't think it'll be possible to enter until tomorrow around midnight. Shit, what lousy timing. Wait, this is too much of a coincidence, don't you think? Okinogi's rusty yet wild instincts were sounding an alarm. He sensed that someone was attacking them. He sensed that his enemy had begun to attack. He realized that the enemy had taken the initiative. People usually take a deep breath before they attack. That moment right before they strike is their most vulnerable. Okinogi assumed that whoever his enemy was, they were led by an excellent commander who knew the precise moment to strike. By the way, about First Lieutenant Tomitake. They said he didn't show at the clinic's meeting the other day. Is that right? I'll have someone check on him. The Major asked me if I knew where he went. Do you think it's First Lieutenant Tomitake? Have Nightingale check Tomitake's hotel room. Shit, tricked us. Where are we now? Oishi's place, maybe? Well, we can't turn back now. Let's see what happens next. Kumagai was trembling with excitement. Kuma-chan, I'm going to check the communication center. Hold down the fort. You bet. Nobody will get through here over my dead body. All I have to do now is handle the phone calls. I'm going back to my post. Kumagai, take care of this place, okay? You can count on me, again. Kumagai closed the door quietly and stood in front of it. This was his chance to show Oishi what he was made of. Oishi was on his way to the communication center. All radio communications and phone calls pass through here first. During business hours, each section answers its own phone calls, but when they aren't open, the communication center answers them instead. How's it going here? Well, there was an outside call for forensics calling directly just a few minutes ago. Who called? It was Chief Inspector Otaka. Ah, Otaka-kun. Oishi grinned. The enemy had started to move. They must have bribed someone inside the police department to be their spy, and he had started to move just as they planned. Oishi was surprised to learn that it had been Otaka. Oishi had never liked Otaka because he constantly boasted about his academic background and always opposed Oishi, who believes in relying on experience. They didn't get along at all when they worked together at the prefectural police department. The phone call has ended. I'm going to ask the old man. Let's see. Hello? Oh, it's me. Don't worry. So, how was it? That greenhorn sure put on airs. So I just snubbed him. The idiot sure got mad. He'll come here as soon as the marshal gets in. That's so like him. He can't even fight by himself. This is getting more interesting by the minute. That phone call woke me up completely. Just like you said, there are plenty of suspicious goings-on out there. I can just feel it. Well, things are getting interesting now. What's up next? Hey, demons, over here. Come further in. That's just a little kid's taunt. Oni-san coaching the Oide. Hello, this is Tomitake. Good morning, First Lieutenant Tomitake. Sorry to bother you this early. I'm calling to let you know that the Mountain Dogs have made a move. Just a little while ago, all the members were called in because of an emergency. We don't know the reason yet. I see. So it's finally started. Tomitake turned on the light next to his bed and put on his glasses as he answered. Also, there's been a rumor going around in the police department over there. We haven't confirmed it yet, but the Queen Carrier's dead body was found. What? Tell me more. Supposedly, an unidentified body turned out to be Rika Furude. They say she died over 48 hours ago. It's past the time limit in Emergency Manual 34, but there has been no change in Hinamizawa so far. Have you heard anything? No, I'm in Okonomiya, so I didn't know. But that isn't possible. It must be some kind of mistake. That's what we think too, but according to our analysis, the information is very reliable, and it's almost a certainty. We haven't confirmed it yet, but multiple forensics department workers have testified. Tomitake realized something. He realized that the Okonomiya police station was Oishi's territory. He also realized that this must be the work of Rika and her friends. Tomitake tried to think calmly. Even if they didn't know who their enemy was, it's obvious the emergency manual is the signal for an explosion. So they must have come up with the idea to destroy that signal. The foundation of the emergency manual is that unless something is done about it, within 48 hours after the Queen Carrier's death, all the villagers will develop terminal stage symptoms. So if nothing happens after 48 hours, there's no need for the emergency manual. And with that, the Mountain Dogs have been called in. Hello? First Lieutenant Tomitake? Sorry. Considering the current situation, it'll be hard to tell if anything suspicious is happening at the Erie Institute. Please ask the Colonel to check immediately. Also, in case of an emergency, can you make sure the Bloodhounds are ready to deploy? Roger that. We should have more information by 9 a.m. If the Mountain Dogs revolt, it'll become very dangerous there. Please be very cautious. Of course I'll be careful. I'll talk to you again at 9 a.m. It was 6 a.m. Tomitake would get another call in 3 hours. Nightingale 1 to all units. Tomitake is in 406. Observation team, do you see anything? This is Nightingale 4. Nothing from the outside. This is Nightingale 5. Nothing on this floor. This is Nightingale 3. There's no sound in the room. He's probably asleep. There was a do not disturb sign on Tomitake's door. Perhaps he stayed up very late last night and was planning to sleep in. This was a great chance for the Nightingales. Be sure to capture him alive. It's an order from the Major. Let's go. They tried to break into Tomitake's room very quietly. Obviously, it was a simple job for them to pick a hotel room's lock. The two members at the door communicated with each other using sign language. Even knowing he was asleep, it would be a good idea not to barge in. They opened the door very cautiously and very quietly. The room's interior was organized but tasteless, typical of cheap hotels. The only furnishings were a bed, a small desk, and a coin-operated TV. Clearly, only one person could stay in this room, and there in the bed, Tomitake couldn't be found. 1 second, the bitrate suddenly dropping is because I'm like a few minutes away from finishing a what's it called? I'm condensing last night's and Thursday's stream into one. What's wrong, Nightingale 3? Respond. Shit, this room is empty. It was still early in the morning, but the room was empty. What's going on? Tomitake likes to take walks, and also takes pictures of wild birds. Could he have gone out to do that? No, that's not it. He might have deceived us. The do not disturb sign was on the door. With that sign there, the housekeepers wouldn't come in the room, so they wouldn't know if it was empty or not. The sign had probably been on there since at least the day before. Knowing that Tomitake was planning to stay for a long period, the hotel hadn't really paid much attention. In other words, the room had been empty since then. I bet he changed hotels, expecting an attack. I see. That's why he hasn't been seen lately. Call the Major immediately. Damn it, our plan has been leaked. Okunogi realized that he had been beaten to the punch. The foundation of the emergency manual had collapsed, and with that basis of the final operation was shaky. Okunogi felt that the Major had panicked, and rushed into confirming what was going on too hastily. If Tomitake suspected us and went into hiding, then, after, caught wind of that, he was sure to come grab us by our tails. Everything's just too convenient. Shit, this must be exactly what the enemy planned. Okunogi tried to calm himself. If he was going to investigate in secret, he could assume that Tomitake was still nearby. The department in Tokyo must be the one conducting the investigation. So he must be waiting somewhere for a report from that department. Tomitake was probably at a new hotel. Probably somewhere in Okinomi. Get in touch with Koro in Tokyo. There must be someone reporting to him regularly. Find the number they're calling. If the number is somewhere in Shishibori City, bingo! Okunogi was confident about his hunch. But if what he was thinking is correct, that meant his identity was about to be exposed. It also meant his operation had failed before he even started. But it wasn't a checkmate quite yet. If he could prove that the dead body at the Okunomiya police station wasn't R, then everything would go back to square one. All he had to do was capture Tomitake and then check the body at the station. That was all. Commander, I got a hold of Koro. They won't be able to tell what exactly they talked about, but they say they can find the phone number. They just need a little time. How much time? Just a few hours, they said. Shit. They want just a few hours, huh? Tell them I don't want to rush them, but they better be quick. It was a little past 6 a.m. It was already light outside, but still too early for the cicadas to start their morning chorus. They had endured the first wave. It was now a matter of how quickly they could recover. Okunogi just hoped that the Major didn't throw a fit. Commander! A message from Koro. They're still looking to the phone number. Also, the research division's routine check-in time is at 9 a.m. 3 more hours. He looked up at the clock. Even the little things were beginning to bother Okunogi. Every time the second hand moved, he became more impatient, realizing the check-in time was getting closer and closer. Also, Colonel Oka, head of investigations, issued a standby order to the Bloodhounds. He hasn't said anything about a mission yet, though. Okay, so that means they can still stand down. If nothing happens, he can just play it off as a drill. We're okay. We still have time. More information. The head of investigations called the Chief of Staff's home line. We don't have the details. We're okay. We're still okay. It's a close call, but we're okay. The Bloodhound's standby orders meant that they saw a very high chance of the Area Institute revolting. The people on site must be practically certain of it. Although it's not as difficult to execute as the emergency manual, ordering out the Bloodhounds isn't that easy. They only did so because they've realized that some kind of trouble is afoot. Okunogi was sure that the people who wanted to conclude matters peacefully were trying to settle things down by saying it was just a mistake. An order to the Bloodhounds to stand by without clarifying a mission is like a middle ground in that sense. But the head of the research division had called the chief of staff. This was a very dangerous situation for the mountain dogs. Hey, it's finally done after almost 4 hours. Just close this. Goodbye. Now my frames should be a bit better once it actually closes. But In other words, the higher ranks of the SDF, or people even higher than them, had decided that the Bloodhounds could take the field. The uniforms are hot-blooded, but the suits always push for peaceful resolutions. They still hadn't decided which way they want to go yet. Our loss wasn't certain yet. Win or tie, everything was riding on the same table. If that was the case, the call coming in at 9 a.m. from the research division didn't bode well. Okinogi couldn't say why, but he had that impression. It was just his wild instinct doing its job. He could guess that the people in Tokyo were going to ask Tomitake about the situation in detail, and then decide what to do based on that. It was possible that the head of the division, or even the chief of staff himself, might come on the phone. Then the Bloodhounds might get an order as soon as the 9 o'clock phone conversation was over, which would result in his defeat. Tokyo was still unsure. Some were still thinking it was some kind of mistake, or they wanted to think it was some kind of mistake. If Tomitake didn't answer the phone, they might send some people immediately, but they wouldn't order out the Bloodhounds. There was a chance it could end in a draw. If they found out that the body didn't actually belong to R, then, although it would corner them, they still had a good chance of winning. But they'd lose the possibility of a complete victory. Okinogi knew that Takano's clients hadn't ordered anything else but exactly that. He didn't want to admit it, but the enemy's surprise attack succeeded. Commander. Shut. Calm down. They aren't sure yet. They're suspicious, but they aren't sure. We're still okay. Anyway, whoever gets information first wins. Either they found out something first, or we do. We were beaten in this surprise attack, but we haven't yet been annihilated. So don't you dare fly a white flag. We'll just wait. Koro will find out where Tomitake is. Our guys at the police station will expose the truth about R's death. So all we can do now is to wait, and endure. Excuse me, Major Takano is on the line. She sounds, extremely angry. Shit, I don't have time to babysit a princess now. Ah. Hello, yes, this is Okinogi. Yeah, well, don't jump to conclusions. It hasn't been decided yet. Why don't you have a cup of coffee first to calm yourself down? Yeah. Okinogi tried to change the subject while pretending to laugh, but all he could hear was Takano's frantic voice. He couldn't even understand what she was trying to say. The second hand on the clock ticked on. Who was going to be able to smile at the end of it all? Today was going to be a long battle. Okinogi's instincts told him so. How are you doing? Who was it? It was our marshal. They're gaining strength, but he's no match for me. Does he really think an office worker can win against a technician? Well, I'm glad he's playing golf today. If he actually came over, it would have gotten a little complicated. Did he call from a golf course? Is he working or what? I bet Otaku-kun wanted to come over with the marshal. He's probably real upset about it now. Since an indirect attack hasn't worked, you think they'll try a direct one? Will Otaku come here? If he can't get a hold of the chief, he'll have to. It's almost 8:30. The main doors will open soon. Morning had finally arrived. The chorus of cicadas had begun. That familiar sound would make one think it was just another day. But it was hardly going to be normal. It wasn't just an ordinary Sunday. Oishi and his men already realized they were grazing the tip of a huge conspiracy. Knowing how Otaku-kun is, he'll probably come through the main entrance. Yeah, that's what a guy like him would do. I'll be here to take care of the phone calls. You guys take care of him, okay? Okay, I'll go welcome him. Kuma-chan, take care of this place. The lobby of the Okonomiya Police was just like that of any other police station. It could hardly be said to have a welcoming atmosphere. Some of the tiles on the floor were broken and cracked, so sometimes people tripped on them. Those spots were covered by pieces of cardboard, and there was a sign that said, "Caution, watch your step." There was also a pot with a dead plant. It was far from a friendly lobby. Unlike hospitals and banks, there wasn't a line of people at the counters of the police station, but there were a few sitting on a sofa waiting for the counters to open. And they would open soon. Some workers were standing by on the other side of the counters. Otaku was snobbish enough that Oishi didn't want to deal with him first thing in the morning. If only he was a pretty young woman with big boobs. Oishi and his men were on a very important job. If Otaka found out that Rikafurude's death had been faked, the operation was finished. They are only able to shake up the enemy now, while Rikafurude's death is still on the books. They had to stall for every minute, every second they could, so Tomitake could seize hold of the tail that was popping out. So if the truth about Rikafurude's death was exposed before Tomitake had that chance, the enemy would recover. The emergency manual would regain its credibility, and although the enemy wouldn't enact it immediately, they would try again for sure. Rikafurude had detected the conspiracy ahead of time. But that was a miracle. The divine wins. Japan had prevented Mongol invasions twice in the past with such miracles, but nothing like that happened during World War II. They might not be so lucky next time. They might not get another chance. There might be no next time at all. Unless they defeated them this time, they would never win again. While it was possible to do some serious damage, a tied game would inevitably lead to the enemy's victory. They had to completely expose what the enemy was up to, allowing Tomitake to call in a suppression unit to defeat them. That was why Oishi had to stop their vanguard here. His job, therefore, was an extremely important one. If the enemy's conspiracy succeeded, Hinamizo would be destroyed, and more than 2,000 villagers would be executed in a gas disaster. Either way, the incident would never go public. But people's lives depended on him. Oishi was violating his professional duties. However, he had to do what was right. Oishi thought back to when the old man taught him that. Someone who, despite the hot weather, was wearing a suit, came in through the automatic sliding door. He had 2 of his colleagues with him. He was showing off his authority, like he always did. "Good morning, Otaka-kun." "Well, well. Good morning, Oishi-san. By the way, please don't address me with such familiarity. I'm no longer in a position where you can talk to me that way." "Oh, don't be like that, Otaka-kun. We used to play mahjong together, didn't we?" Otaka seemed disgusted to hear that. He used to boast about being a good mahjong player, but Oishi once beat him badly in front of many people, which hurt his pride. "I would love to chat with you, but I'm in a hurry today, so please excuse me." "Hey, don't say that. Don't you remember the time when you forgot to write certificates for the kendo tournament? You begged me to help you. I wrote them for you backstage. And that was why the reward ceremony went on smoothly, didn't it?" "I truly appreciate that, but that has nothing to do with this right now." "Oh, I didn't know you appreciated it." "No, sorry about that. I've never heard anything like that before." "Down at the prefecture station, they think I begged to write it, and that you turned the offer down and let me write it for you." "Wasn't that the excuse you used when the director called you up asking what happened since my handwriting on the certificates wasn't so great?" Well, I don't know. Maybe someone misunderstood? At the very least, I never said such a thing." "The prefectural police headquarters may be your territory, but unfortunately, this is the Okonomiya Police Department. You won't get your own way here." "Oh, what do you mean by that, Oishi-san?" "I don't know why you're here, but your jurisdiction's in Gogura, not Okonomiya. I would like to ask you to leave." "What? Under what authority? What authorization do you have to be here?" "I'm in the middle of a classified investigation on behalf of headquarters. I've heard that there's an unidentified body related to that investigation here." "Well then, please inquire on the phone. Okonomiya is in a rich neighborhood. This isn't a place where someone in a custom-made suit should be." "I see, so you're ganging up with the guys in forensics, huh?" There should be an order from the marshal to hand over the autopsy report to the prefectural police headquarters. Then there should have been an explanation to the marshal from the forensics department already. The body is still being examined. Because of a slip-up on our part, there's been a rumor going around that the body was already identified. Anyway, they need a little more time to finish up their report. Now I would like to attend the autopsy. No. What? I'm requesting it as the person in charge of this classified investigation at the prefectural headquarters. If that's the truth... Look, I don't want to doubt your policeman's spirit. A policeman's spirit is a noble one, see? Sure, no one would go into this business if we weren't getting paid for it. But you know, you can't be a good detective without dedication that can't be measured by your pay alone. If you say you have that spirit, I'll let you through. The look in Ueshi's eyes made clear the anger that was roiling within him. As he looked into those eyes, Otaka recalled all kinds of frightening memories. Otaka didn't want Ueshi to sense his fear, but he couldn't prevent himself from loudly swallowing. Okay, then please let me through. I'm here because of my policeman's spirit. Please step aside. Why don't you make me with your policeman's spirit? Come on. What? What? If your policeman's spirit is as strong as mine, you should be able to brush me aside easily. Come on. Try it. Ueshi was obviously saying that he had no intention of letting Otaka through. How could he do this? Otaka was confused. Otaka was an elite policeman at the prefectural police headquarters. He believed academic background and performance record were enough to earn trust. He's been working hard under that belief. But Ueshi doesn't acknowledge that, and he doesn't even respect him. He's a scumbag. He was the worst type of person, one who tried to establish their meaning and purpose only through rough means, refusing to acknowledge everything about their superiors in order to protect their own pride, as uncivil people often did. I mean, you're already doing that yourself. Establish your meaning and purpose through background, performance record. Otaka had been thinking ever since they worked together. Why did people trust in someone like Ueshi? Why did people respect someone like him? Why did people appreciate someone like Ueshi more than they did Otaka? Move. If you don't, I can accuse you of interfering with an investigation. Oh? What kind of investigation? If you tell me, I'll help you. Didn't you hear me? It's classified. I can't talk about it to someone like you. I see. Well, if you can't tell me everything, you can tell me one thing instead. What do you have resting on your shoulders? On my shoulders? What are you talking about? I have something on my shoulders. The fate of 2,000 villagers rests there. If I let you through, those 2,000 villagers, no, their relatives as well, they'll all be very sad. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? I have no idea what you're on about. Okay, I'll tell you. Your boss is planning something terrifying. I bet you haven't thought it through that far, but it's a conspiracy that will make thousands of people unhappy. That conspiracy is about to crumble, and that's why they woke you up and ordered you to investigate. I don't know how much you're getting paid for this, but if that's more important than your policeman's spirit... I wish he stopped talking there, but his eyes continued to speak after that. What in the world are you talking about? Anyway, please just let me through. Otaka's baffled behavior confirmed what Ueshi had just said. He had been bought off by someone shady. Though maybe he didn't think that he was bought. He probably thought he was just fulfilling the request to confirm Riku Furude's body as a favor from someone in the information network he assumed he built himself. Of course, the part about it being a classified investigation was a lie. But when an elite policeman from the prefectural headquarters said it was a classified investigation, everyone would grovel and salute him. But, Ueshi didn't salute him at all. This is a waste of my time. I'll file a formal complaint to the marshal later. What? Hey, wait a minute. I'm not done yet. As Otaka tried to walk by, Ueshi grabbed him by the arm. Otaka tried to make him let go, but Ueshi was just too strong. Ow! Let me go, Ueshi-san. Oh? I'm not putting that much strength into it. If you have a policeman's spirit, this shouldn't stop you. Your unshakable righteousness should knock me down easily. But you can't even get my hand off your arm. You know why? Get off of me! It's because you don't have a policeman's spirit. Oishi let go of his shoulder, and Otaka tumbled onto the floor, sliding for more than 2 meters. What is this? This is interference with an investigation. This is interference with a government official executing his duties. No, this is assault. Arrest him immediately. Otaka ordered his 2 colleagues around, but they didn't know what to do. Oishi was also a policeman. Obviously, there was something more going on between them. Besides, they could sense one thing. Their instincts were telling them that Oishi was far stronger than them. They were no match at all. What's going on, Oishi-san? Some officers were gathering in the lobby. They all looked puzzled. Nothing much. This greenhorn from the prefectural headquarters demanded something selfish, so I just taught him a lesson. The officers alternately looked between Oishi and Otaka. They knew something was going on, but they didn't know the circumstances, so they didn't know which one to stop. Oishi was respected by the policemen of the Okunomiya station. Everyone respected him. If Oishi said that Otaka was being selfish, then he must be at fault. Oishi was generally seen as sensible. All of them thought that Oishi would only do this in a public place like a lobby, if it was something major. Otaka was feeling humiliated to get such attention. He stood up calmly, hiding his humiliation with anger. I see. I understand your position, but I'm not here on a child's errand either. I like your spirit. I'm ready to go if you are. Bring it on, greenhorn. Oh! Not enough. Not all you got? Damn it. So that's your policeman's spirit? I have 2,000 Hinamizuan villagers resting on my shoulders. The lives of 2,000 people in my jurisdiction depend on me. Why don't you tackle me with a spirit that's strong enough to knock down 2,000 people? Oh! It was like watching a match between a sumo wrestler and a small child. No matter how many times Otaka tried to tackle Oishi, he simply crumbled against him. Oishi stood firm, as if his feet were rooted to the earth. By the 3rd time Otaka tumbled to the floor, he finally realized that he'd been provoked. He caught his breath and fixed his hair. Okay, I'll tell you. The case I'm investigating has something to do with the Sonozaki family. I was asked by someone to check on something. Why are you beating around the bush? Can't you say it more directly than that? At any rate, they're questioning the death of that girl to be said to be the mascot for the religion here in Hinamizawa. I have to confirm if she's dead or alive immediately. I told you, we explained that over the phone. It's still under investigation. They need more time. Huh. Well, I didn't want to tell you this. This request was, I'll tell you the truth. It was requested by someone you really hate. Representative Sonozaki. Ah, that scary man with the crest on his hakama, huh? Yeah, you're right, I do hate him. That man threatened me I'd have to abandon logic and push his demands through, too. See? See? Representative Sonozaki requested I check the body immediately. This is a request by a citizen. The police department is there for the citizens. Of course, I accepted his request. Rika Furude isn't just any girl in Hinamizawa. She's a very special little girl. If a rumor goes around saying her dead body was found, of course someone has to go confirm it, right? You do better to not say things like that in a public place. You're in a lobby, you know? Excuse me. Otaka suddenly realized his mistake. Some people were even whispering behind him. One of them spoke to Otaka hesitantly. Is it true that Rika Furude-chama is dead? Don't worry, madam. We haven't confirmed that yet. We're from the prefectural police, and that's why we're here. That's right. It's not certain yet. We're still investigating as we speak. I'm only asking to attend the autopsy. You better think carefully. I'm here on behalf of Representative Sonozaki. If you keep interfering, I'll tell him all about it. If that happens, you'll be in a tight spot, Oishi-san. Don't you think it's time to surrender? Oh, excuse me. Jeez. Let me get some water in me. Representative Sonozaki was well known in this area as an extremely tough congressman. The people who knew about him continued to whisper. Otaka grinned when he heard them whispering. He realized then that, in Okonomiya, his threat was more effective than he thought it would be. Oh my! Did you really ask him to do that, Saburo-san? Sir, excuse me. Did Representative Sonozaki really ask you to do that? He certainly did. The representative asked me directly. So what about it? Oishi-san, isn't it time to surrender? People continued to whisper. Representative Sonozaki is a big name around here, Otaka thought. Even gangsters give away if someone mentions his name in Okonomiya. So if you're really afraid of the representative, please let me through, Oishi-san. Ah. Please go to counter number 8 to get a traffic ticket reissued. Huh? When did I get a traffic ticket? Oishi suddenly started to talk about something completely different. In fact, Oishi was looking at something behind Otaka. Huh? Oh my god, is this Akane? Who was he talking to? Otaka wondered. It is. An old-fashioned elderly man and a lady in a kimono were standing behind him. When Otaka's eyes met with hers, she smiled at him. She's definitely my type, Otaka thought. She's married. Hey, you. Were you really asked by Representative Sonozaki personally? Not by his secretary or someone else? Yes, of course. Representative Sonozaki and I are very close. He sometimes calls me directly. The elderly man continued to listen with a puzzled expression. Who the heck are you? Huh? There's no need for me to introduce myself. I'm just an ordinary policeman from the prefectural police headquarters. What? Incredible timing. I mean, no. I can only laugh. So I can laugh, right? I wasn't sure. Otaka couldn't understand why Oishi and this lady were laughing. What are you doing here together? Well, you know, remember that ticket? I didn't see the no left turn sign because of a tree branch. And there was a policeman on a motorcycle waiting right at the exit. I didn't think that was fair. Saburo-san said I should complain, so that's why he came along today. Ah, roadside trees are the city hall's jurisdiction. We get those complaints pretty often, but it's a rather complicated matter. I didn't like the fact that a policeman was waiting at the exit, so I'm here to complain about it. I understand. I wonder if you can hear my cat. That's the bit. I'll talk to City Hall in the traffic section. So do you think you can settle this peacefully for today? If you say so. We'll leave quietly for today. When Otaka realized they were Oishi's guests, he fixed his tie and spoke up. But you have to pay for your traffic ticket. It's the law. You sure are annoying, aren't you? He is, isn't he? Sometimes he can be pretty funny, though. I'm in the middle of an important conversation with Oishi-san. When you're done, please get going. Have a nice day, madam. Grab. You have a nice day too, sir. Grab. The two of them grabbed Otaka's shoulders from behind. The lady grabbed his right shoulder, and the elderly man grabbed his left. Mr. Prefectural Policeman, I have two things I detest in this world. Do you know what they are? Huh? One is shiitake mushrooms. I just don't like them. Never have, ever since I was born. I don't like to eat them, and I don't like their broth either. The second one is lies. I don't like to use them, and I don't like people using them with me. How can I step back after being ridiculed like this? I'm the demon princess of Shishibone Akizone Sonozaki. I never back off when someone starts a fight with me. Don't say that about yourself. Also, that would have been perfect if you used a citizen instead of the demon princess. Huh? 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 The police officers, the citizens in the lobby, and Otaka's colleagues didn't know what was going on. Ah, let me introduce them. This is Akane Sonozaki-san. She's the vice president of the Shishiboni City's Women's Kendo Club. And this is Saburo Sonozaki-san. He's an honorary director of the Prefectural Kendo League. Oh, I should mention his formal title. This is Shishiboni's 2nd District Representative, Sonozaki-sensei. Huh? Well, you're here to give Otaku-kun a lesson, right? He's the instructor for the Prefectural Police's Kendo Club, after all. Nah, thank you for coming. Here, please show them to the dojo. Eh? Representative? The same. Didn't you say we were close? I think we'll have lots of fun together today. Oh, I'm so excited. The two of them were still clinging to his shoulders and laughing meaningfully. Otaka laughed along with them. Yeah. Okay, that's great. The anime didn't give you a reason why Akane was there before, and now it's just hilarious because of that freaking ticket that she ripped in half. Are you sure? Did you really confirm that the Queen Carrier was at home yesterday? What do you mean by confirm? I just went by because I heard she caught a cold. So how could they have found her corpse? That's just impossible. That's right, that's impossible. But, unless it's confirmed, some people might misunderstand. Who would misunderstand what? I mean, the whole village would go into a panic if they found out Rika Furude is dead. Now I'm certain that she's lying. I don't even need to wait to hear from Tomitake-san. Takano-san's objective is the execution of the emergency manual. Its premise is about to be destroyed, and that's why she's panicking. She finally found someone who showed an interest in her research, which made her feel better about herself. Yet that someone is about to cut her off, and that's why she's panicking. She's as pitiful as can be. If it were possible, if there was a way to reach out to her, I would reach out to save her from drowning. But my hand will never reach. Why is it? There we go. I won't reach her unless she reaches out. She's drowning, but as long as she refuses to seek help, I'll never reach her. Until she realizes it herself, no matter how much I reach out, she'll refuse my helping hand. However, my selfish imagination will have to stop there for me. Is Rika-chan home or not? If she goes into the details, she'll become suspicious of me, since I told her I saw Rika-chan at home. That will put me in a very dangerous position. A man who had been on the phone for some time put down the receiver. Major, there's no answer. There's nobody home. What's the observation unit saying? Since the 17th, the day they started their observation, there hasn't even been one phone call. Hey, Director Irie. That means Rika-chan is still at home, right? Yeah? Yeah. I guess so. I'm not sure. She has gotten so much better. Maybe she snuck out or something. Today is the day of the festival, remember? I think there are some vendors set up near Rika-chan's house. There's a lot of people around, so maybe your observers missed her. Well, can that be possible? Every time Director Irie leaves, we place a seal on the house afterwards. I don't think she could have gotten out through a window. So the mountain dogs are certain that R has not left the house, right? Yes. We're certain. R is inside the R residence. She hasn't left the house since the 17th. We're sure about that. The only person who checked inside was Director Irie, and nobody from the mountain dogs did. But you're sure about that, right? Well, One of the mountain dogs looked at me, swallowed, and then nodded to him. Then how do you explain R's corpse at the police station? Like I said, it's possible they made some kind of mistake. The autopsy isn't done yet, and the body hasn't been confirmed to be Rika Furude. It could be just a rumor. You already said that. How many hours do you think have passed since that rumor has gotten to Tokyo? Unless we do something about this, Tokyo will... Takano-san realized I was standing next to her and shut her mouth. I could already tell what she wanted to say, though. Major, there's a phone call for you from Nomura-sama in Tokyo. Damn it. I told her to give me a little more time. Takano-san usually has a lot of self-control, but she's not doing so well right now. Even her body language makes it clear how irritated she is. Does she have a habit of scratching herself? As she folded her arms, I could see marks where her nails touched her skin. She's clearly not doing well. Takano-san is rather occupied right now. I'll take it. Nomura-san, right? I've never talked to her, have I? Sorry, this phone call is for the Major. The mountain dog looked alternately between Takano-san's and my faces. Director Irie, I have to take care of a few things. Could you please excuse yourself? Oh, sure. I understand. You're in charge of the Institute. I shouldn't say anything, huh? Somebody take him to the director's office. Hurry! She's basically telling me to get out. I left the security room quietly. Hello, this is Takano. Sorry to make you wait. Sorry to call you repeatedly. So, did you find out anything else? I'm sorry. I've ordered my men to get to the bottom of this immediately. Some of them are headed to the police station, and I'm just waiting to hear from them. I see. So you should be hearing from them soon, right? What time do you think you can call us? I'll call you as soon as I find out something. But it's hard to say what time, though. As soon as possible, of course. Major, have you ever been on an airplane before? Huh? Ah, yes, of course. When an airplane takes off, an enormous amount of power is needed. That's why sometimes there's engine trouble during takeoff. If the plane hasn't sped up yet, all it has to do is slow down and abandon the takeoff. But if it has already sped up, it's more dangerous to stop, so they go ahead and take to the air. A jet plane has 4 engines, so even if one engine breaks down, it can still fly without problems. It's the same with our operation. There is more than one engine, so if we have enough speed, we'll go ahead with our plan. We'll figure out what to do later. But we are still only preparing to take off. Do you understand what I mean? The first step of the operation was Tomitake's assassination. That hasn't even happened yet, so what Nomura was saying was correct. If you already knew the plane you were on had a broken engine before it took off, what would you do? You'd get off, right? It's the same thing for us. Our clients want to get off the plane because they found out there was engine trouble before takeoff. If they were already at the point of no return, then a little mistake wouldn't matter that much. But since they're still before that point, they're overly cautious about even a tiny mistake. We're checking to see if it is, in fact, engine trouble as we speak. I know. You're like a traffic controller at a control tower. I'm like a flight attendant calming the passengers down. I'm doing my best to talk them into staying on board, even though there's a chance the plane will never take off. If it takes too long to fix the problem, this flight may be cancelled completely. Major Takano, that means your grandfather's work will be forever known as a madman's nonsense. Do you understand that? When one girl dies, all the villagers will go mad. That's just too silly. Where'd you get such an idea? It sounds like some fantasy. What the hell? It's so stupid. Who in the world do Hifumi and Mio Takano think they are? It's just too funny. Takano ground her teeth. She squeezed the receiver so tightly her knuckles went white. Anyway, now, do you understand what will happen? Do you get it? Your grandfather's honor depends on this, as does yours. Yes, thank you for thinking about us. Don't worry, I'm your only ally. I'll help you achieve the ending that makes you happy. I'll be with you until the very end. So please find out if the information coming from the Okonomiya Police Department is true or false. I'll do my best, but it's not easy to deal with unhappy clients. I'm sorry to make you go through that. Please give me a little more time. Yes. Yes. Goodbye. Takano made sure that Nomura hung up first, and then hung up herself. I'm going to go feed the cat real quick and use the bathroom. Then we'll continue for a bit longer. Right, I am back. Let's move on. Hasn't Okanoki called yet? Call him. Major, we just called 10 minutes ago. He's supposed to call as soon as he learns something. Why don't you take a little break? Your coffee is... The unit member tried to serve a cup of coffee to Takano, but she knocked it aside. The cup fell on the floor, making a black puddle. Everybody in the security room went silent. Damn it. Somebody bring a mop to clean up this mess. I don't care if we called 10 minutes ago. Call him again. Tell him to find proof that Rika Furude isn't dead. And also, capture Tomitake. Takano was starting to realize something. By now, she could sense that there was something behind Tomitake's disappearance. Tomitake must know something about what's happening at the Okonomiya police station. He might look dumb, but he somehow found out about the plan, and was trying to mess with Takano. So Tomitake was clearly behind all of it. Takano had been intending to let him enjoy the festival that night, if he behaved. The quickest way for Takano to be certain of what was happening would be to see Rika Furude's face at her house. But she couldn't leave, and she couldn't trust Irie. He should have left. Because there were too many people around for the festival, the mountain dogs had their hands full. If she would answer the phone, that'd do, but she wouldn't answer. That meant the house was empty, and that Rika Furude's death was real. What went wrong? Who deceived Takano? There was only one person. The only person who claimed that he saw her at the house. Irie was the most suspicious person around. Tomitake had left the hotel and was nowhere to be found. So maybe Rika had left her house and was hiding somewhere else. In other words, Irie betrayed her, and was in contact with Tomitake? Start observing Director Irie. What? Are you saying that he's lying? Why would he do that, though? Tomitake must have noticed our plan. He left the hotel and told Rika to go somewhere safe. He's deceived us, and we've been observing an empty house. The house can't be empty. There's definitely somebody in there. Do you have a proof that it's R? It's not her. That person is there simply to deceive the mountain dogs, only to make it look like Rika is home. That's it. Tell Okanogi to break into the R residence. I don't know who's in there, but whoever it is, they're connected to Tomitake and Rika. Put the heat on them. But, We can't break into the R residence. Not today. There are just too many festival goers around there. We can't break in until the festival is over, which is around midnight. That's why all of you are here, right? Just do something. Why? Why can't you do what I tell you to do? Can't you follow my orders? Why? Can you only follow my patron's orders? Oh. The unit members could only watch in silence. They knew that nothing could comfort her. The noise of the phone suddenly broke the silence. Takano practically jumped. Yes? What? Major, good news. Koro successfully got the number the research division in Tokyo is calling for their scheduled reports. The phone number is in Shishibone City. The mountain dogs are trying to pinpoint the address. It's Tomitake. It has to be. Scarlock, gather your most capable men. He's being cautious, so don't make mistakes. Heron, give them backup. Understood. Scarlock 1 to all units. As soon as we get the address, we'll move in. Everyone, get on board. Shit, hasn't our man from the phone company called yet? I'll look into it. Give me 5 minutes. It was 8:45 a.m. They didn't know where in Shishibone he was staying, but depending on where it was, it might be too far to get there before 9 a.m. They would have to depend on luck. Damn it, do it in 50 seconds, not 5 minutes. What the hell is taking so long? He's just punching the numbers into the computer. We've got it. The address is Hirosaka Block 1, Hotel Moderado. It's routing through the switch, so his room number's unknown. Did you hear that, Scarlock? We've got it. We're heading out. Luckily, Hirosaka Block 1 was close enough. Okanoki had been right. Tomitake was hiding nearby. The garage doors of Okanoki Gardeners opened one after another, and the white van sped off in a hurry. That piece of shit. It's our turn now. He didn't even think there could be someone working against him in the research division. Now it's our turn for a surprise attack. I wonder how much longer I should go, because it's going to just really hype up soon. Hotel Moderado. Despite its name, it had a cheap, stained sign out front. A dilapidated business hotel on the outskirts of town. Perfect place for someone to lay low in. They might draw in some guests if they renovated the building into a more modern love hotel, but it was clear they didn't have the capital for renovations and could go under any minute. That's the kind of hotel it was. Tomitake was staying in one of the rooms on the second floor. The interior of the room was worse than his previous hotel. It only had a bed and a phone, with the same exact background. But that phone was what he needed the most at the moment. If he didn't have to receive regular reports, he would keep changing hotels, which was safer. But he needed up-to-date information from the research division, and his course of action would change according to that information. Moving about unnecessarily might cause miscommunication in case of an emergency. Tomitake never suspected that there was a spy in the research division. The ticking sound from the clock echoed throughout the room. It was almost 9 a.m., but the phone might not ring at 9 on the dot. Tomitake waited in front of the phone patiently. He tried to organize the information in his head so he could answer questions more calmly. At the same time, he kept in mind the possibility of an attack. At that time, he heard a woman scream in the distance. It happened again. He heard another scream. Tomitake got the sense that something was happening inside the hotel. His intuition told him that someone was checking every single room with a master key. Tomitake opened the curtain a little. He saw several mountain dogs, who were blocking all the ways out of the hotel. How long had they been there? Finally. They had finally found where he was. Tomitake could hear their loud footsteps. He heard voices too. This one's empty. Next. The cheap hotel wouldn't have chains on the door. They had no means to fend off the master key. Tomitake could tell there were around 20 of them. No, maybe there were more. It would be no use trying to fight with them. All he could do was hide. Under the bed? Or in the bathroom? At the very least, the ceiling wouldn't open up like in the movies. Should he jump out the window? It was the second floor, after all. It was perfectly possible to survive a jump. They would be expecting that, however. Yet this was right on city grounds. If he was confident in his legs, it wouldn't be impossible to outrun them. Tomitake soon heard footsteps outside his door. This was it. He jumped from the window. Of course, there were mountain dogs on the ground waiting for him. They pointed, and about 6 of them started running after him. Tomitake shot off right from the position he landed in. This took the mountain dogs by surprise. He had started to dash right after he jumped out the second-floor window. Tomitake was prepared to do something like that. He had been training in case of an emergency, just like this one. Scarlet 10, Scarlet 1. We've located the target. He's running. We need assistance. Scarlet 1 to Heron. The target is heading west, using the back alleys. Stop him. Roger that. Heron 2, 3, and 4. Head on over there. Here he comes. That's it. 3 members of the mountain dogs jumped out from behind the streetlight and stood in Tomitake's way. They prepared to stop him, but Tomitake kept running at full speed. They quickly realized he wasn't running towards them to knock them down. He was trying to run past them. There was no point in them taking a fighting position. They lowered themselves and tried to tackle him simultaneously. Now! Warrior! Tomitake jumped over them. He jumped over them like an Olympic athlete, leaping over a hurdle. But he wasn't an Olympic athlete, and they weren't hurdles. Tomitake's heel struck one of the dogs. The 2 flanking Tomitake thought they'd seized hold of him. However, as he flew over them easily, he grabbed onto the 2 of their heads and smashed them against each other. Tomitake knew that this wouldn't stop them, but at least he'd gain a little time to run. The target broke through the west intercept team. He's still running. Damn it, what are you doing? Heron 10, go around in the car, take the second left, and we'll get him at 9 o'clock. Are you okay? Shit. Don't let him get away. What strength? Shit, my nose is bleeding. Tomitake saw a van with its doors wide open ahead of him. It couldn't stop in time, and it hit the wall. As soon as it stopped, several mountain dogs jumped out of the van. What? Saw a van with its doors wide open ahead of him. Hit the wall. Oh, jeez. Stop him. No matter what. Stop him. Come on, there are 5 of us. Tomitake saw 5 men ahead of him. But he didn't even think those 5 could stop him. Why do trains sound their horn at people on the rails? It's not because the train will get damaged. It's because the people will get hurt. Get away! He yelled at them like the horn on a train. He wasn't warning them because they were in his way. He was warning them to move so that they didn't get hurt. Look how many we are. We outnumber him 5 to 1. Don't tell me we can't stop him. No way. There's no way he can get past us. Let's go! Tomitake didn't grin. After all, trains don't grin. Oh! Zoom in. Now what? We captured Tomitake. Really? It didn't take that long. I want to ask him some questions. Don't kill him, okay? Bring him over here. We'll kill him afterwards. But I've already got a great way for him to go. The phone continued to ring inside of Tomitake's empty hotel room. Within 30 minutes, Tomitake was dragged through the back door to the area institute, wearing a gag and handcuffs. Tomitake didn't even move, as though he was sedated. The mountain dog members had carried him out of the van. Eri saw Tomitake from his window and came out of his office in a hurry. Takano was already there. What's going on here, Takano-san? The mountain dog silently glared at Eri. He realized that he shouldn't have left his room. I didn't see Jiro-san for a while, so I became worried and had the mountain dogs look for him. It was a good thing I did, because look, he's gone terminal. He's developed terminal symptoms? Are you sure? Of course, Tomitake didn't reply. Eri decided not to say any more. I see. It's very unfortunate. Let's give him some medication as soon as we can. Of course. I hope it's not too late. Eri already knew. The mountain dogs had tracked him down. Eri wasn't sure if Tomitake was able to arrange something with Tokyo. He wasn't even sure if the bloodhounds had been called in. He could guess that Tomitake didn't have time. If the bloodhounds were called in, the mountain dogs would catch that information. And if that was the case, they would likely drop everything and run. But Tomitake was captured, and they brought him back to the Institute. That meant it hadn't gotten that far. They were still trying to fix the damage. In other words, Tomitake wasn't able to do what they had hoped for. What were they going to do to Tomitake? Since they brought him back alive, were they planning to torture a confession out of him? That would be very dangerous for him. He'd likely end up dead. Wouldn't it be better to torture Irie since he isn't military? Irie realized that he had to do something in Tomitake's place. The main reason why Irie had to rescue Tomitake was because he had no way of contacting Tokyo on his own. Takano wanted Irie to be useless, so she never told him about how to get in touch with Tokyo. Irie could receive phone calls from Tokyo, but he could only call them through Takano. Therefore, Tomitake was the key. Unless Irie rescued him, they couldn't possibly win. But Irie wasn't like the mountain dogs. He was simply a researcher. There was no way Irie could rescue Tomitake from such a high-security area. There were 8 mountain dogs in the building. There were usually only 2, but Takano called in more. Of course, the basement was a highly secured area, and one needed an access card to get in. That card was only given to people in Irie's position. In addition to the access card, one would need a fingerprint match as well. The access card alone wouldn't do it. Therefore, the only person who could rescue Tomitake from that high-security basement was Irie. And so, even if it was impossible, Irie had to do it. Irie bunched up his hands into a fist and held them tight to encourage himself, but I only noticed that his fists were shaking. Irie, did you forget? Irie remembered what Akasaka had told him. But it's very hard to anticipate your own danger. You can't underestimate it. You may not even get a chance to make the phone call. If you sense something odd, that's an emergency. Knowing the seriousness of the conspiracy, they won't hesitate to kill us. Please be very careful. Irie felt the cold sweat pulling on his back. Was this the emergency Akasaka was talking about? He shouldn't think that it was still okay. He might lose a chance to run. He realized that trying to do something by himself was foolish. He had his security access card, true. But that didn't mean he had to rescue Tomitake by himself. Just like how everyone else was trying to combine their efforts, he should also ask for help. Also, Tomitake was in their hands, which meant that the mountain dogs had realized they were under attack and were preparing to counter. It was very possible that they were suspicious of Irie too. Once they broke into Rika's house, Irie's lies would be exposed. Indeed, this was the emergency Akasaka was talking about. Irie had realized that he was already in danger. He needed to leave immediately. The Sonozaki residence was their gathering spot in case of an emergency. His allies were congregating at the Sonozaki residence. He should explain the situation to them and think about how to rescue Tomitake. Takano probably wouldn't kill Tomitake immediately. She was intending to kill him that night, as the 5th year's curse, so there was still a little time left. He had allies, and with his security access card, there was still a chance to rescue him. Irie had to let Akasaka know that he was escaping. If they became suspicious of Irie, they would check the house, and Akasaka would be in danger too. In other words, it could cause a chain reaction. Irie didn't miss his last chance to escape, but he still had to do his final job. Irie picked up the phone at his desk, called Rika's house number, and left. It would continue to ring like that, sounding the emergency signal. Irie thought back to when he wondered how long he was going to stay in this director's room. He never knew this day would come so suddenly. He noticed the framed picture of his parents on his desk. Irie had become a doctor so he could clear up the misunderstanding between his parents and regain his family ties. But how did he get involved in something like this? No, he would return. He would return and continue the fight against Hinamizo syndrome. He vowed to himself that he would never abandon that responsibility. I'll be back, Mom and Dad. Irie said his final goodbye and left the director's office. Major, there's a call from the director's office to an outside number. The phone number is... The art residence. Huh? What does that mean? Can you listen in? Of course. I'll put it up over the speaker. One of the members flipped a switch. There was the sound of a ringtone. Why is Director Erie calling that house now? Maybe R really is at home and he's trying to let her know that Tomitake has been captured. That might be it. He has no idea we're listening in. What was Erie going to talk about? Takano waited patiently to eavesdrop on the conversation, and there was nothing but a ringtone. It had been over 30 seconds. There was no answer. Nobody was home. The director sure is patient. I guess he's sure that she's home. Major, we have the director on the security camera at the back door. The black and white quad display monitor showed Erie running out the back door. What's going on? Who's calling from the director's room? Takano became utterly confused, but the ringtone continued. It couldn't be. Takano finally realized what was going on. It's a trap. He knew we were listening in, so he made a fake call. Erie is a traitor. Catch him. Security room on the first floor. Stop Director Erie. The target is heading to the staff parking lot from the back door. The two mountain dogs who were playing cards in the security room on the first floor jumped into action. The security room was located next to the back door, so Erie was still within reach. Erie had made a serious mistake. He could have left the clinic during the 30 seconds Takano and her men were listening to the ringtone. But when he got to the parking lot, he realized he forgot his car key on his desk in the director's office, so he had to go back and get it. It was only at this point that I realized he should have gone back. He shouldn't have gone back. He should have escaped on foot. But Erie wasn't used to emergencies, unlike Akasaka. It was a typical mistake any normal person who had never gone through anything dangerous would make. Although he made mistakes, he didn't forget to call Akasaka. People usually become extremely clumsy when they're in a rush. All he has to do was to turn the key, but he couldn't even do that smoothly. He kept turning the key, and finally the engine started. Erie still thought that he was alright. Even if one of them questioned him, all he would have to do would be say that he was going out to get something. When he released the handbrake with his sweaty left hand, he saw two of the mountain dogs dashing out the back door. As the two of them looked around, Erie's eyes met with one of them in the rearview mirror. He pointed at Erie's car, and the two of them started running towards it. The two of them looked extremely serious, and certainly not like they were chasing after him to return a dropped pen. Dropped pen. Oh! Erie's body was soaked with sweat. Before the two of them could jump on the car, Erie stomped on the gas pedal and the car took off after spinning its wheels. Of course, the dogs didn't give up. They got into their own car and started to chase after Erie. Security base. The director is on the run in his car. Do you want us to force him to stop? Major. This is Takano. He's probably headed to the Furude Shrine. There are too many people there, so it'll be impossible to catch him. Fine, don't worry about injuries. Don't let him go. Stop him by any means necessary. Roger that. We'll force him to stop. Send backup just in case. Over. Roger that. We'll send Nightingale as backup. But don't wait for them. Stop him right now. The mountain dogs had Erie's car in their view as it ran away at full speed. They have to find a perfect spot and timing to stop him. It's not easy to drive a car when you're in a rush. Of course, the more you step on a gas pedal, the more speed you gain. But when you're in a hurry, you can't control the steering wheel well enough to escape quickly. Erie could see his pursuers in his rearview mirror and was completely distracted by that. He was driving carelessly. His driving was so reckless that he could easily get into an accident on his own. As the fear was driving him into confusion, he made a wrong turn. That mistake made him even more confused and panicked. Come on, Director. You're going to lose your license for driving like that. Although the two guys were ordered to stop him, they were starting to think Erie is going to get into an accident without them doing anything. They'd rather not drag this into a car chase if they didn't have to. This is Phoenix 1. Security vehicle, come in. Commander, security vehicle here. We're still chasing him. We're on the path through the forest near the 5th district. Not sure of the exact location. We're headed your way as your backup, as per HQ's orders. Estimated time of arrival is in 15 minutes. Don't wait for us. I don't think we'll be there in time. Okanogi grumbled. He had to leave Okanogi in a hurry to respond to Major Princess. But because of the distance, there was no way he could get there in time. Even so, he was still ordered to provide backup. He could have explained, but the princess wouldn't have listened to him anyway. The mountain dogs who were with Okanogi smiled bitterly. In which direction are you heading? In the worst case scenario, we'll end up leaving town. Don't let him. We'll comb the hills for him, so break his legs. Is there anybody else? Any weapons? It's in the middle of the forest. There's nobody around. We have one submachine gun in the security vehicle. The guy in the passenger seat reclined it and climbed into the back. He lifted one of the seats and took out a black machine gun. The paint on one corner was coming off, and the shiny silver metal was exposed. It was a machine gun, but it didn't look as powerful as an ordinary one. However, once the dog extended a shoulder stock and set it in place, the weapon looked far more vicious. It's an MP5, correct? Is it A5 or SD3? The man in the back seat looked at the uniquely shaped gun barrel. It was thick and long. SD3. It has a silencer as well. You're allowed to fire. Shred his tires with a full burst. Roger that. We're attacking. The guy in the back seat opened up the driver's side back window and leaned out of the car. His sharp eye aimed at one of the tires on Erie's vehicle. It was a straight road. Erie's car was weaving, but not enough to avoid a shot. Pursuers had his car in their sights. They were trying to get as close to Erie's car as possible, but they were afraid they might get caught up if it overturned. They soon decided that this was as close as they were going to get. I'm going to fire on the count of 3. 3, 2, 1. The sound the machine gun made was a lot quieter than what people would imagine, but its power was unimaginable. One of the tires on Erie's car was cut to shreds and collapsed in a puff of white smoke. Because one tire collapsed, all of a sudden, Erie lost control of his car. He tried to steer away, but that made things even worse. As it spun, Erie's car drove off the shoulder of the road and slid down the slope into the forest. This might be a good point to stop soon. Well, The sound of trees breaking and the car being battered from every direction disappeared down the slope. Pursuers stopped their car and looked down after it, but the plants were growing so high it was impossible to check from there. The attack was a success. The target vehicle went down the slope. It's possible that the driver is dead. We'll search on foot. Phoenix 1, roger. Nightingale's in the area. If you're lucky, you'll run into them. We aren't even close. I'm counting on you. Good luck. Roger. Ending transmission. Let's go. The mountain dogs left their car and headed into the woods without hesitation. That's probably where we stop. Yeah, this is the perfect spot to stop then. It's moving to Akasaka. Alright. We're stopping here, and I have a surprise stream tonight at around 8:30ish. I'll be playing Lethal Company with a few friends. So I'll see you then. Have a good rest of your day. Good rest of your afternoon, I should say. Bye-bye.